MGTOW's male protagonists have a profound epiphany when they learn that females are more terrified of lone guys than they are. At this point in MGTOW, the male protagonists had their epiphany. Men who are currently single tend to be too simplistic sexists. They aren't worth taking seriously since they aren't appealing or because they haven't progressed sufficiently. Many males who aren't in relationships feel shy around women because they are worried about being judged as strange or rejected. Just pretend for a second that I informed you there was a major violation of the regulations. It's understandable that modern women would be wary of dating a man who is not in a serious relationship with anybody else. Please allow me to elaborate on why. That can only be done by first delving into the unique mental mechanisms and biological bases that women possess. Doing so provides invaluable insight into the inner workings of the female mind. I have already discussed hypergamy and the never-ending hunt for male perfection among women here. However, you probably don't need to hear it, as you are already aware of it. To kick things off, I'd like to discuss the importance of women's respect for themselves and their reputations. When you finally get this, you'll be able to make greater sense of a lot of other concepts and principles. That women have always been held up as examples of what constitutes an attractive physical appearance is a topic of nearly universal agreement. Women's greatest selling point is the example of beauty they provide for the rest of society. This provides some context for the common perception that women represent lust. This is because, historically and currently, the way a woman looks has been her most prized possession. The expansion of the cosmetics market can be traced back to this very factor. Therefore, certain makeup may trace its roots back to ancient Egypt, and a piece of jewelry may be older than a millennium. When compared to men, women are generally more concerned about their outward appearance. They give a great deal of thought to how they look and how well-liked they are. It's crucial that they always look like that to us. Because here is where a woman can eventually locate her future husband. It increases the likelihood that she will meet compatible partners. A woman's social standing is based almost entirely on how many suitors she can attract. Since more and more men are interested in her and willing to help her out, she has begun to think of herself as more attractive. In the event that nobody asks her out and she keeps getting rejected, she will eventually lose all ability to communicate. Having this expectation is not unreasonable. The occurrence of such situations is rather common. Women are not as used to coping with rejection as men are. So while it may hurt you as a man, that doesn't mean it hurts as much as it does for them. When faced with it, it often causes emotional instability among women. If a woman is rejected or her date is canceled at the last minute, she may suffer a nervous breakdown. Male attention is the most important thing to her, and if no one, not even more capable orbiters, gives it to her, she will eventually come to the conclusion that she is worthless. She is prepared to cry on camera until her life story is complete, and then upload it on TikTok for anyone who is interested in seeing it. Along with her, he'll encounter other ladies who share her traits. In their late 20s, when they have fewer options for romantic relationships, you're more likely to encounter them. As a result, I've returned to the point I made at the beginning of this paragraph. That holds especially true for today's women, who are more likely than ever to have multiple committed relationships at once. Men who are happily single are a major source of anxiety for modern women. This is due to the fact that modern women are the most serially monogamous in history. The sight of a single man who has made something of his life and is content with it can be quite upsetting to them. There are more hazardous men in today's society, and modern women share the same concern. For this reason, the media has been so persistent in labeling MGTOW as a radical organization. It's the same carefree bachelors they've always been afraid of, except now they are labeling it a movement for bitter, resentful bachelors. To me, that makes no sense at all. When it comes to men, what actually causes single women concern? Men who pursued, courted, and proposed to them did so out of societal obligation and the hope of advancing their own lives. Marriage and the quest for a single true love are held up as necessary conditions for happiness in modern society. As a result of this ideal, many women date dozens or even hundreds of men before they settle down. Men who choose to be single and raise their children without the help of a wife or other partner are an anomaly in society and may be viewed with suspicion. With all the development that has been done in the world, they ignored conventional thinking and tried something completely different. In today's society, many well-educated males have come to the conclusion that women are overrated. These are not my claims, and I deny making them. Cost-benefit analysis is less advantageous in today's society due to issues like harassment regulations, as every stand-up comic and wealthy male with access to women will tell you. The reason for this is that in the modern world, problems such as laws against harassment are reality. There are potential scams and accusations in the divorce process that you should be aware of. It lessens the potential gain in comparison to the risk even further. Women started to realize that many guys who seemed to have a solid handle on how the world worked were actually overvalued and not worth their time. Spending time with ladies and being demanding only to feel good about yourself was not worth it. Some women eventually realized that men who seemed to have a good handle on the way the world worked were often not worth their time because they were just overvalued. Additionally, most men grow tired of women quite quickly. A guy should derive his satisfaction only from the successes he has created for himself. The lady he is with shouldn't make him happy. For many guys, their previous interactions with females have been negative. They need to give up and enjoy the independence that comes with being single men. As one would with a new body or a new home, they started training their puppies. They get jobs and go on exploration trips, both of which bring them a sense of satisfaction that no woman could ever provide. Makeup is not made in any way whatsoever on the basis of the peculiar actions of men. If they are alone with themselves, high-value males, such as those women hope to marry and settle down with, and the very men that women like manipulating, make up the bulk of this population, which poses a threat due to its composition of highly valued males. This poses a threat. These guys know how women think, and they are done with the gender role charade for good. Now that they realize this, they have overcome their ingrained biases and no longer link women's approval or disapproval to their own sense of well-being. Something like this would have been a giant leap forward for them. They started relying on themselves, which is bad news for the woman who goes to the bar to obtain a fling from some of the attractive men there. She will boast about receiving free booze, gourmet food, and designer clothing on Twitter. The boys are leaving the team because they no longer like playing. They would rather do nothing than get involved with anything. They are curious as to where all the good-looking men are, and they don't get how a man can be so carefree in his writing when he has no desire in finding a romantic partner. More and more contemporary women are freaking out about, and guys are doing it because they've been in her company. Some women, for whatever reason, actually look forward to performing this task. Everyone is curious as to what today's ladies would do if they kept being drawn to a man who seemed completely pleased and goal-oriented without giving them any consideration. This is a fascinating inquiry for many different reasons. They can't seem to attract the kind of beta testers they need. Because of her insistence on their presence at her workouts and obedience to her orders, they are still around. Now that the dust has settled, she plans to start seeing men like these sock puppets in the hopes of using the settlement from her divorce to fund a lavish new lifestyle in the suburbs. She likes dudes like this one. The men's efforts would take a serious nosedive, though, if they suddenly began prioritizing the mission over their families. That she can't control or sway males is a major weakness, to the extent that these men are effective in encouraging other men to seek women. The roles will soon be reversed, with women initiating contact first. Men, on the other hand, will be preoccupied with achieving their own goals. And they should have in mind that women don't experience the same kinds of difficulties regardless of where they travel. A woman's physical attractiveness and her ability to attract men decline at a certain age. As a matter of fact, no one really wanted her. And a man has nothing to gain by tying the knot and everything to gain by remaining unmarried for the foreseeable future. If she is unable to capture a man's interest in the beginning phases, she is in grave danger because she will have no other options if he shows no desire